Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Influential Women Podcast. My name is Jenny Smith, and I have the amazing and talented Miss Sandi Glandt. She is an author. She's the mom who can do it all, entrepreneur. Sandi, welcome.
Yes, Jenny, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm so excited too. And this is my first virtual podcast. So I'm honored that you said yes and that you're here. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Sandi Glandt. I'm a high performance productivity coach. I'm a mom of two. My youngest is almost 10 months old. I have a 3.5-year-old.
And they're so cute.
Yes, they're like twins. They're just little exact replicas of my husband. I am a wife. And I do all the things, right? I think as moms are super women. We do all the things. We make sure the home is running, the babies are fed, the husband's taken care of. So, we wear a lot of different hats. And I think it's important that we come together and have these conversations and know that no matter where you are in your journey, that you feel supported. And it's great to have these conversations.
And you do that for a lot of different women. I've been following you for several months since we met at 10X Growth Con, and I've been inspired by you. Almost like I want to sign up to meet with you one-on-one and do all your things because you're Queen of Slay Your Day, and that's a book that you wrote. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I do one-on-one coaching. I have my group coaching, but my book, the reason why I wrote the book is because I wanted to have a tool for women to tap into before they were at that level of the group coaching or the one-on-one coaching, to take the tool and use this to start to implement some of the tactics and the techniques that I teach in my coaching. So in the book, as I was writing it, what I do is I wrote the chapter, and then at the end of each chapter, I have a little workbook. And in the workbook, you implement, and I'm all about having an equal consume to create ratio. So anything that you consume, whether it's a podcast, a book, a coaching, you then have to go out and create, because if we just take that information and we hold on to it, nothing happens to it. So I'm a huge proponent of consuming the information and then creating on that, because once you create, then you start to get the wheels in motion. And, for my clients, the way that I work with them is we're going to put the systems and the strategy in place, and then you need to go deliver on that. You need to go create on that, because the creation of whatever it is in the home, in your business, you always get to be tweaking and working on that. But you never know. I think a lot of people get so stopped up in it has to be perfect and it's got to be amazing before they put it out there, versus my motto is done is better than perfect. I want something to be done and I can tweak as I go, versus just not doing it at all. And I think a lot of people get stopped up in, oh my God, it's got to be the perfect landing page or the perfect edit or whatever picture, before they actually get it out there. So I'm a huge proponent of consume, create, and part of the book is set up like that. So you're able to take all those techniques and trainings when it comes to time management and productivity, and really tapping in to doing all of the things and then implementing those.
You are a badass. I love it. When did you start doing all of this?
Yeah, so I'll take you back just not too far, but before I got into doing this type of coaching, I was actually doing wedding planning and event planning. So everything that goes into systems and strategy, you need that when you're talking about helping someone to plan the biggest day of their life, right? Mm-hmm. So it was all of the time management, everything that I teach now, which I was doing in my own company when I was working as an event planner, but I love doing it. Each one of us has our own gifts and our own skill sets that are unique to us. And to you or to me, certain things may come easy, but to someone else, they're like, oh my God, how does she do that? How could she do that? For me, the thing that I've always loved and I've loved doing is tapping into systems and productivity and the color coordinating and making sure everything.
And you have your months in the back. I see.
All my systems. Mm-hmm. So to me, that comes very easy to me, and I love doing it. And I think I'm also a very visual person. If you were to come in my house and if you were to see the room right in front of me, we have a big whiteboard out there, and my son, we put Jakey's Monday schedule, Tuesday schedule. And it was like music to my ears the other day. He was like, Mommy, we got to follow my schedule. I'm like, yes, we do.
Oh, I love it.
So kids and the home and the business, they thrive off of, schedules. And I do want to say there's security in that, but also I'm a huge proponent of having the schedule set, but being able to be flexible and fluid if something comes up. So you're not so married to the schedule that, something happens, fires need to be put out, and you're like, nope, the schedule doesn't say this. You need to have the groundwork set, but it's something that you get to decide what gets moved around or what gets changed, while also knowing what's most important so you can move the ball forward every single day.
Mm-hmm. And what's been like the best story, or, like a moment where you're like, oh, I really helped that person and you made a difference in their lives?
Yeah. So one of my clients that I worked with, I want to say this was probably about a year ago. She was a high performer. Most all my clients are already high performers. They're already in the mindset of like, I want to go for more. They're very, they when they come to me, my clients are overwhelmed pretty much. They come to me because they're doing all the things. They're these amazing high performers, but they feel like they're getting to that place of burnout. They feel like, one thing is taking over the other, meaning work is being overly consumed by the family side of things or vice versa. So this client in particular, she was running on all cylinders in the workplace, but she felt like she wanted to step it up when it came to the family. And a few months into our coaching together, she's like, Sandi, she goes, I want to know what you do has had not only this huge, massive impact on me and how I show up, but you have helped my family, my kids, my business. So I get to show up how I want to, not thinking about what other people are saying or what lives they want to create. She said, you've created a ripple effect for me in my life with everything. It's touched every area of my life to allow me to create the life I want to live. And I was like, this is why I do what I do.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Because I think we as women, we so underestimate the value that we bring to the table, and in terms of, again, wearing all the hats and the positions that we're in charge of and in control of. And I think that some women think, oh, well, I'm only like running the house and taking care of the kids and getting them off to school and all of these things. But like, there is huge, massive value in that. And I think that we have to be reminded about the value in that and what that's doing. And then also being able to go after your dreams, because a lot of women think, well, I've got kids, or I'm running the home, or maybe they don't have kids yet. Right. And they're trying to create this world where they feel like they're showing up, but they can't go after certain dreams or ambitions because of XYZ, whatever that might be. So really like breaking that barrier down and saying, you get to have whatever you want. You just need the right systems to support that.
That's always been my biggest thing, is like, you can have everything you want. You just got to go for it,
Yep.
So what other dreams and goals and ambitions what do you have up your sleeve?
Yeah. For me right now, I'm in a place where, like I said, my youngest is almost 10 months old, and
so
my
cute.
kids are little right now. So I'm in a place right now where I'm very, very strategic about the hours I show up in my day, what I'm doing. So I have this, of course, big visions and goals of what I want to accomplish right now. But for me, I mean, I've always been a huge proponent of family first. Like, that has always been my main focus. Even before I had kids, I mean, my family is everything to me.
So that's your why? Your family's your why?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, my kids, I think it's important for kids to see their parents like have goals and dreams and ambitions, so they know that that's important, and by my kids seeing that, both my husband and I, working, going after what we want to achieve. It's such a great way, because, we talk about goals and targets and things like that in our house. And I asked Jakey, my 3.5-year-old, what are the goals that he has? And I think it's important for our kids to see that, because they need to know what their goals are also important. It's a family contribution. But for me right now, it's really just making sure that where I show up in my business is aligned with the lifestyle that I want to have. And when I say you get to have it all, right? Like, my vision of that is different from yours, to the woman that's listening. Like, we all have our own visions and dreams, but we need to know what that is. So for me right now, what that means is growing my business, but also being a present mom and an intentional wife, right? Being able to show up with my husband and
you do that. You do date nights, and you.
Oh, we do date nights for sure.
I saw you did this cute little picnic, and I'm like, oh, I loved that. That was such a cute idea. But now that I know that you were a past wedding planner, it all comes full circle.
Yes. And it's so funny because like that day that we had the picnic, if you guys go on my Instagram, you'll see like the little picnic that we did. That was in our backyard. And that week, I believe, my husband was, I think that was a pretty busy week in his schedule. I don't remember what was exactly going on, but he was, in the office and he had like work dinners and, like was not so much like seeing the kids at night like he usually does. So I remember I said to him that night, I said, I have something planned for us. I didn't tell him what it was. And it was something that we got to do as a family where we didn't need to go out and, like go to a restaurant or
It was easy to have the kids there when they're young.
And it was great to just have something in our own backyard for us, because I think when life gets crazy, you need to find the thing that is, again, your why and your purpose. And I know that also for my husband, he's for sure, on all cylinders all the time. So when he's missing out on the kids and time with myself and just having that time for all of us together, I feel like for me, it's because it's so second nature to me. It's so easy to pull something together, like a picnic in the backyard or, something fun like that, where I get to bring us all back together and allow us that quality time that we all really need.
I love that because you're inspirational in the wife mode too. Like you do these extra things for your husband and you make sure you go on date nights, which Matt and I are huge on too.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing about Jared?
I love that he's always thinking big and thinking ahead, because so I'm the planner, right? So I think about the logistics of things, but he's got like the big ideas too. And he's like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but like, this is what I want. And I like to execute and figure out how we're going to do things. So I like the dynamic of like when we go out on date nights, we don't just talk about like, oh, like what went on in your week? Like, yeah, it's some of that, but it's more like, where do we want to be in 10 years? What do we want to be doing? Where are we going? Where are we traveling? Like, what does the journey look like? So that really excites me, because together, I know it's like this big plan behind all of this, in the sense of dreaming big, going big, what are we going after? What do we want our life to look like for our kids? So that really excites me. And I like that we're on the same page with that, because it's always changing and life, gets so crazy. It's so important to have those little check-ins.
Absolutely.
And for us, now let me tell you, it wasn't always once a week. It was, when I was postpartum, it was like, wasn't really happening at all, or when you get into those crazy modes. But I think it's important that you and your partner have some type of connection time, whether the kids go down and, we have little date night cards, like question cards that we do with a glass of wine, or, just really having that time together, because it's so needed. And it just brings us back together on the same page to really just check in with each other.
I love that. And how did you two meet?
So funny enough, I actually interviewed for a position at the company, at Glandt's company.
Okay.
Like 8 years ago. And I messaged Glandt in his Facebook, inbox, messenger, whatever it was. And I said, hi, like, I do wedding planning and event planning, because at the time they had just moved down to Florida. So I was like, okay, I would love to move down there, and this is my skill set. And Jared messaged me from Grant's account saying, go talk to my VP. Because at the time he was the vice president of the company. And he said, go talk to my VP. He'll like get you set up with whatever you need. So he teed himself up to go talk to me through Grant's DMs. So I came down, I did a job interview. I ended up not working with the company because I ended up staying in Philly. But then Jared kind of like messaged me back and forth for probably like 6 months, just every once in a while, off and on. And then I finally came down, we had our first date together. And then from that point on, we were doing a long distance relationship. And then I finally moved down to Florida. It was like really fast, like within 4 months.
That's cute. I love it.
Yeah.
So you're a Philly girl. You're not from Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. Born and raised.
Yep. Outside of Philly.
Okay.
So like I grew up across from a farm, like 45 minutes outside the city.
Me too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome.
So, it's like, for me, this is the first time I moved away from home for college, but it was in the city. It was in Philadelphia, the actual city. But I never had like moved away from home. So the first time I moved away from home, imagine I tell my family I'm moving and I'm moving in with a guy, right? And they're like, oh my God, what are you talking about? And at that point I actually, you follow your gut instinct, right? And for me, it was more of like, I'm following my heart, but I'm following my head. And I felt like this is a really good guy. And I always just knew like, follow your instinct, but like be smart about it, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad I did, or else I wouldn't be here right now.
Absolutely.
You know?
And you guys have made a beautiful family together, and I love it. So are there more kids down the pipeline? I know you just had one, so you normally don't talk about it right away, but.
Right. You know, I was like, it was a hell no about 2 months ago. And now I'm kind of like, maybe one more, but it wouldn't be for probably another like year or two. Maybe we'll see how things go within the next year.
Well, I had a boy and a girl, and I was like, I'm done. You know, I got 2 kids. They're healthy. We are so good. My husband really wanted a third, and I had never seen him without his beard. So I said, you shave your beard and I'll have a third. And having the third was the biggest blessing in my life. So if that helps in any way.
What are your age differences?
So I have 6, 5, and then a 2-year-old.
Okay.
So the 6 and 5 is just a year apart. So that first set of kids, I was like, no, I'm not doing all this again. It was a lot of work, you know. But
our boys are like 2 years, 10 months apart.
Okay.
So there's almost 3 years, you know.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, man, but also now it's like such a scary time. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be pregnant right now, just with COVID and all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
But Jared wants 3.
Okay.
And we have 2 boys, and he's like, I want a third boy. And
you're like, I want the girl.
I think I would be scared to have a little me.
Why? I think you would have the cutest mini me.
I think I would be scared because like me, little, I always knew what I wanted. I always was very headstrong, and I would be afraid to have that.
Well, you probably will, but it's a blessing, and at least you know it's coming, right?
Yeah, I'll know what to expect. I tell Jared, I said, because our boys are like his twins.
They are.
So I say, I'm like, you just like pretty much cloned yourself. You made a little mini version of you.
But they look like you too.
I think Jordy looks more like me. Jake is for sure Jared's clone.
Now, does Jared have sisters?
He doesn't. He has one brother. One older brother.
Makes
So we got a lot of boys. We got a
Okay.
lot of boy genes.
Well, you never know. I'm rooting for you to have a girl.
Oh boy. We'll see. We'll see in a year.
I love it. So, well, you're on the Influential Woman podcast because I think you're just totally inspiring, and I've loved just watching you. And who has been an influential woman in your life?
Yeah, I love this question because most people will say it's like some celebrity, or it's, they give some type of answer like that. But for me, it's my grandmother. She's 93 years old. She had 4 boys of her own. So my dad's the oldest of 4 boys. And like, she is truly like such a pioneer woman. She was, imagine raising 4 kids in a time before Instacart, before Amazon, before
right.
all these technologies that I use on a daily basis, to make my home run as efficiently as it does. And I look up to her so much, and I'm always constantly trying to get nuggets of wisdom for her about how she raised the boys and what she did that worked. And to me, being able to have that family dynamic of, she was married to my grandfather for 67 years.
Oh, wow.
He passed away 2 years ago, but they were married for about 67 years, had 4 boys, and just the dynamic of how they worked together in a partnership, in the business, in the home. Like, that was always so inspiring to me. And she's kind of like, I always think about, I'm like, what would my grandmother do? I call her my Bubby. I said, what would Bubby do? Like, what is, when it comes to the home or juggling all the things, because I truly feel like she mastered that.